Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to Duzie Live.
We are coming live. We are so live that my dog just recently walked underneath the table and took the headphones with him.
And unplugged a few things.
So I'm a little late getting here because I had to unwind him and put him in his cage.
Well, we are coming live from Tyrone, Georgia, near Atlanta, Georgia. But this is something else that's going on in our life, in our world right now. And that includes, we are doing something called MTO. It's a camp that normally is physically in person in the Netherlands, in Europe, at this time every year, actually for the last 32 years. And this is the first time in 32 years we have not been in Europe to be able to do this camp. So we're doing it online.
We are doing it online.
So we are here in Georgia. But we have moved our clocks. It is now 3 p.m. So for those of you in Europe or near Amsterdam time, we're on your time. We are waking up at 3 a.m. or before 3 a.m.
Which is
every day.
Totally freaking out our dog. Our dog is like in the morning, we take him out for a walk and go to the bathroom. And he like walks outside and he's like, wait, shouldn't there be a sun up right now? Well, there should be.
Yeah, so welcome in. If you guys are here, as always, we would love for you to sign into the chat and to say hello and tell us where you're coming from. Yay, Dyrene. She's coming in from the Philippines. Thank you for joining us. We so appreciate it. Yeah, and it is, I think, evening for you over there. The very interesting thing about us doing this, we're in Europe time, but actually physically here in America, we finish most of our main meetings and even our small net group before the sun comes up. So It is pitch black outside, and we're still going. We're very, very much going strong. So yeah, Dyrene, she says, yeah, good to be here. It's 9 p.m. Okay, so 6. Israel from Zimbabwe. Welcome in. Thank you so much for joining us.
I was just having my small group.
Glad to have you here.
I was just having my small group with MTO, and 1:30 in the afternoon, I guess in Europe. That's what time it was on my watch. But the sun was just rising here. So it was very interesting. I was like, wait, the sun
in the dark to the light.
The sun was rising, but it was early afternoon in Europe. Anyway, very confusing. But we're here, and we're glad we're here today, especially as we're looking at this topic of tribe. Yes. Blooming in your belonging. Everyone wants to belong, but sometimes we don't bloom with those that we feel we belong to. And we all need a tribe.
Yeah, and so we're really talking about your people, what it takes to have the people around you that allow you to fully thrive. So We're so happy that you've joined us. And as always, this is Duzie Live. Matt Taylor coming in from the UK. Yeah, good to have you. Bodica, I don't know how to say that name. Where are you coming in from? I don't recognize that name. So welcome in. You are so welcome, but would love to know where you're coming in from. Again, anybody who's just jumped in, we can see there's a few more of you.
There are several online.
You can hop in and say hello and tell us where you are coming from. But the thing about Duzie Live that's so amazing and that we absolutely love, it's become the culture of Duzie Live, is that here Dan and I are in the webinar presenting something.
Here we are.
But over in the chat, there is so much happening. So we invite you to chat with each other, to chat with us. We'll chat with you, and the interaction will take moments during we'll stop the presentation to jump in, hear from you. If you have any questions, comments, emotional outbursts, put them all right there in the chat. And it is a conversation that we absolutely love to have.
Now I have to bring you up with some new news. During the COVID crisis, I had 2 pairs of glasses. Now in the first week of COVID, my normal glasses that I wear every day broke. I mean, the whole bow, whatever, broke. So I had to glue that together. So I had to get my second pair. So I put my second pair on, and at the end of the second week, the bow on this side of the other pair broke. So I had to glue that on. And
rubber banded.
Throughout COVID, I am rubber banding. I am crazy gluing. I'm sticking them. I got these special things because there was no spring left, so they'd fall off. So I just have to tell you, a couple of weeks ago, we were in Michigan, went to my favorite eye doctor, and I got a new prescription. And just yesterday, these ones came in. They sort of match Susie.
I
am so happy I can
put
see
in the chat what you think of Dan's new glasses, and if you think that we go together quite nicely. He picked them out himself. I wasn't even there.
But the last pair, the one I just took off yesterday, had this big old rubber band thing here, and my boys would say, "Do you have gum on your glasses?" No, it was just to hold it there. But now I'm free again.
Matt, super observant. Have you moved your Duzie live space? Yes. This is a space we've moved to our living room, so we have a lot more moving around space because
during MTO, I'll show you some of the stuff that we're bringing on here. Hold on.
Yeah. So we're ready for everything, and we have to have things roll on, roll off.
So this is Pete. This is Pete, and I did a straight jacket today, and so now he's wearing the straight jacket. So we have all this stuff coming on like
this is like do not be bound up in fear. Yeah. And then, what about your helmet? Do you want to show your helmet?
Oh, we're talking about
We got the whiteboard ready. We always do this thing called brown squirrel, shake your bushy tail. This is about being courageous. So we have a lot of props.
Around us right now, we have all these little props that we've been using. So
we were
a little
talking
bit
about
together
our journals
here
yesterday, and so we were showing our 20, 30 years now of journaling. Yep. Over 100 volumes of journaling. Thank you, Dyrene, for the glasses looking great. Oh, Bowdika. I don't even know how to say your name, Megan. Thank you. Thought I'd see what would happen if I changed my name. Well, we caught you. We caught you there. A warrior queen in ancient England.
So nice.
That sounds like a good name for you.
Nice. Ancient
I love
queen.
That. Ancient queen. That's awesome. So love that. You know, your life is a remarkable story, an adventure that only you can create.
We exist right now, here and now, in this space to motivate and equip you to live fully alive.
That's right. Today, in this Duzie Life, we're talking about tribe. Bloom where you belong. We're talking about your people. And we're going to have a little section where we talk about your net. We're going to unpack that a little bit. And then we're also going to talk about the 11 indispensable relationships that every one of us need in some way and form. So we're going to have some interaction about that. So glad you joined us.
So a couple of years ago, we read this book by Leonard Sweet, and it was about the 11 relationships that we have, and we keep going through, and we like, where are we at right now in our life, and do we have this person, that person? Because I believe the relationships, the communities in our life will help us to either bloom and grow. I mean, if I can look directly out a window right now and I can see a flower in our front yard. What is the
that is the canna
lily. It is big. It is beautiful. It is red. It is gorgeous.
Yeah.
But right next to it, there was another one, and it wilted. Our relationships will either cause us to bloom or to wilt. And these 11 indispensable relationships, we're going to look at those. But first, like you said, let's look at the net.
Yeah. Well, I just want to talk about bloom just a little bit more. When I think of bloom, I love to grow things, and people say I have a green thumb. They don't look green to me, but I have really gotten into it and enjoyed it since we lived in Michigan, and I love to see things bloom. And one of my favorite blooming flowers is recently, well, here we grow daisies and echinaceas quite well, but I used to love to see the rosebud. Here they don't grow so well for me. But it starts really small, and then it begins to bloom. And in the blooming process, the different petals come out. My daisy-like flowers, they have a center, and then slowly they get little spikes that come out. And then eventually those spikes fill out into petals as well. And I love the process, and God speaks to me so much in the process of seeing things bloom. And so when we think about tribe, your people, those people that you're like maybe warrioring with. Boudica, if I said that right, Megan. Boudica, that's how you say your name.
Boudica B.
Boudica M. Megan. It's to Boudica.
It's a B.
Okay. Oh, there we go. There. Yeah. Okay. So, as we're with our people, then we can just go through life and they help us live fully alive. And we're going to continue to explore that space today.
Speaking of fully alive, Israel just made a comment about my hat over here. And I got to show you my helmet for a moment. Just before we got to coronavirus, Susie and I were driving to or from Michigan.
Yep.
Either to or from Michigan. We went into a petrol station, and this was behind the counter. I love helmets.
He said, I got to have that.
I used to have a beautiful one, and it was taken. And I always wanted to replace it. And I saw this one, and I was like, oh. And I said, is that for sale? And the guy said, oh, yeah, it is. And he started looking around for the box that it went in, and he couldn't find the box. He said, I'm so sorry. I don't know if we can sell this. There's no box. I said, well, could I buy it cheaper without the box? He said, well, we would have to give that to you probably for half price without the box. So I'm thinking, this is amazing. And so I went in to get petrol. I came walking out with this. And were you there with me?
I was. I gave the approval because he gave us I used my swindler techniques, and I got an even better deal because there was no box.
Amazing deal.
Yeah, so here we have it. So Direne says tribe. Historically, Mia Filipino, people that is made up of the mixture of several races, Malay, Spanish, and Chinese being the major three ancestries of most Filipinos. I did a little research earlier today. Good job.
Thank you.
But there's more on my tribe for me to thrive. Okay, well, we'd love to hear some of the research if you want to be willing to do that. If we have time at the end, put your hand up and we'll bring you in on video and even have a little chat about it. That would be awesome.
I love tribes as well. I'm part of the Sioux Indian Nation as part of the Native American Indian in me. And it's from actually the Lakota tribe. It gets smaller and smaller. But even though I was never on the reservation as a Native American, there's just something about belonging to a tribe. And there are some different aspects. And let's look at the net first.
Sure. Okay, so here we are. And when we're thinking of a net, this picture is quite important. And there are three parts that we're going to unpack a little bit here. But you might see that there is a nest or a space. And that's probably the primary place of belonging with your tribe. But there's also an eagle. And you notice that there's a tree that this nest is able to be in. And it provides a safe place and also a belonging place.
Now, we're not teaching this today, but we want to remind people that in our life, we need that. We need the nest of a small group of people around us where we really feel belonging. We need an eagle who will help us to know how to feed ourselves and how to fly. But we also have to belong to a bigger tree, a community. And for most of us, probably more than one.
Yeah. So the question here is, who are the people who support your Zoe Fully Alive life? And by Zoe, can you just tell us about Zoe a moment?
Zoe is the word that Jesus used most often when he described life. And it meant quality or vitality from this point forward. It is a very powerful word that Jesus came that you may have a quality of life and a life of vitality, vibrancy from this point forward. So who are those people in your life that you belong to that actually support that kind of living?
Yeah, and Jesus said, I have come that you may have life and have it to the full. So what we're trying to do is relentlessly pursue who God created us to be in that being fully alive and that Zoe life that Jan just described. And people are a very vital part of that. So we're going to explore today further, and I hope you take from here and keep putting it into your life. Who are those people who support your Zoe Fully Alive life? So if you don't mind in the chat, just type in if you've got some names of people or maybe that it's your boss or your friend or your mom or your dad or
So what are these people again?
So you can just put, who are those people?
So someone who may be
support.
eagling you, someone in your net.
They maybe don't know about that, but who are the people that support you to be fully alive?
Okay.
So I just want you to be thinking of these people even as we go through this time today. So go ahead and put that right in the chat. Who are the people? You can name them, or if you don't want to,
past as well, right?
Past, present. Maybe you're dreaming of somebody in the future being somebody to support your fully alive life. Who is that person? We would love to hear from you, and we'll come back and grab that. Psalm 101:6 says, I will search for faithful people to be my companions.
What a great verse.
And I love that verse because it's like we don't always have them in our life. That's the case for me. We don't always have them in my life. I have to go searching for them. When I see somebody that's a good compliment to me being fully alive, I search for people who will do life with me to help me live fully alive.
I think this is part of the growing up process, because usually as a child, your friendships, your companions are those that, well, these are friends of my parents, or these are, these go to the same church. They sort of just, they gather around you because you're in the same location. But as you get older, you realize you have to actually search to find the right companions, especially as you go into the workplace and you move to a new location. You have to search. And there's a lot of people that don't know how to do that. And so today we're not going to tell how to do that, but we're going to look at who are the people you need to search for.
Yeah. 1 Corinthians 15:33 says, bad company corrupts good character. And in an equal way, good company really helps you be fully alive. And so companions and who we search for today will be helping you to gear up or to continue to maintain those people. So there's 3 types of people we want to start with, and we call that our net.
So it's very simple. Many of you may have taken our course or something, you know this, but I want you to put into your mind for a moment your nest. Do you have a group of people? It's a small group normally between 2 to 6. We were part of a small group once that I think it was 18 of us.
It was not small, but we still.
But it was very powerful. It was a real nest for us.
Yeah.
We need to have that group that surrounds us, but we also need to have some eagles in our life, and those would be mentors or coaches, people that are helping us move to some goals or move to some places that, well, it's who we are. They're helping us be more of who we are.
Experience, and they have wisdom, and they can speak in, or they pray, or they support in a experiential kind of a feed, fly, and focus kind of a way.
Yeah. And then there's the tree. And I think right now, if I were to think about my tree, I would probably have 3 or 4 different trees. I would have my Marlette community, the place I grew up in. I would have my OM community where we work there. I definitely have my church community that we go to at church. And probably, this week especially, I'm part of this MTO community. So at least 4 different ones. Our family community, so 5.
Yeah. So there's the quick blurb of the net. So the nest.
So this is like the skeleton.
Yeah, the nest, the eagle, the tree. And you know what? The reality is sometimes people can be in multiple spaces at once. For example, Dan, he is my nest because he's my close person. He sees me, he knows me, he values me, but he's also my eagle in that he has wisdom for me and I belong to him. So he's my tree. But it doesn't always happen that way, that all the people that you have in your net are actually the net.
So now we come to the first poll.
That's the poll sound.
And it's a real simple poll about you. And in the net of 3 relationships, how many do you presently have? Do you have 3 of the 3? Do you have 2 of the 3? Do you have 1 of the 3? I would love for you.
And I'll just put that up. Here is what the 3 represents. It's the N, E, or T. Do you have a nest, Do you have a nest in an eagle? Do you have a nest in an eagle or a tree, or any other combination? We would love to see what you have to say.
Right now, 100% are saying
Woo!
they have 3.
That's
Great.
awesome. Okay.
100% is saying all 3.
Wow.
Oh,
Let's wait a moment and see if there's anybody else who's coming up with.
Please, someone just break that and say 2 or even 1. Let's see if we can break that a little bit.
Bodica B says, it's interesting, Irene. In the UK, we think we're all the same, but we were invaded so many times. Vikings, Romans, and then we invaded other countries. There is some intermarrying, so we aren't as one race like we think we are. So thinking about tribe. And then Matt says, don't forget the French. They invaded us too. And we returned the favor a few times. Oh yeah, 100 years of war with them. That's cool. And then she also says, it's very interesting. I got some people who are supportive, but also as we support each other, sometimes we can also annoy each other.
Definitely.
And I have to remind myself that it doesn't have to be perfect all the time. Amen, sister. I realize also that I'm needing to eagle and lead in one of the groups, but I don't want to be grown up just yet.
Oh.
It all comes for us. Irene says, thank you, Israel. Cebu will always have a part of you. Thank you, Matt. You can speak French. That's great, Megan. Wow. Vikings and Romans. And Bodica says, was your nest in Michigan? Did you have a good nest locally, or can you do nests at a difference? I love your church. Distance. I love your church.
Yeah.
You want to
I think
answer that?
You can do community at a distance, but the nest, I think, has to be more local, and probably some of the closest friends I have were part of that nest in Michigan, and we still stay close. I haven't built that the same way here, but I would love to.
Yeah, we're in process. We just moved back here after our travel, after being on the ship, and then travels in the end of November. And we had a couple months where we were getting stuff online, and then coronavirus happens, and that really makes it quite difficult to be so connected to people locally. I don't know how that is for you guys, if your nest dynamics have changed since Corona.
So it looks like 100% of the people are saying they have all 3. That's really
awesome. Good. Great. So we want to explore it. And Megan Bodica, she put it out there. Sometimes we're in a combination. The ideal for us is that we have all of these, but also as we grow in our fully aliveness, we become these for other people. We become a safe place. We might be eagling them. We might provide belonging for other people as well.
It's interesting as I'm sitting here, I'm just trying to focus on some things, and I'm not talking in a spiritual way. My glasses are like, I can't see these words anymore.
It's in a new spot, huh?
I can see them this way, and so it's like, it's a new day. So I'm not trying to be snooty. I'm not trying to just raise my nose, but it's like, what's that say over there? What's that say?
Your nice looking glasses. You might have a new head position for that business. That's great.
The older I get, the more I raise my nose.
Irene says, my people where I belong in work, church, nonprofit organization, and community. So you've just identified your community tree, the place where you belong.
Yeah.
And yeah, those nest places of people who know you and love you and see you and speak honestly and you have fun with and you celebrate with. Those are so important as well.
So we've looked at the net, and that's really important. But who needs to be in the net? What is the criteria to be an eagle or to be in my nest or to be in my community? We want to look at the 11 indispensable relationships you can't do without. And we're just going to go through these one by one. I would suggest you take notes. We don't have a download for you.
Yeah, we do have a download.
We do have a download.
Yeah.
Wow, she's remarkable. But these are
I'll give the download at the end.
These are the kind of people we need to have in our life. And I have to say, I don't know if there's been a time in my life where I've had all 11. Actually, it's 12. But
spoiler alert.
I think that at different times, I need different relationships for what I'm going through. But we're going to go through all of them. And maybe in your mind, do a little checklist of, do I have that person in my life or not?
And as we said, Leonard Sweet has a book that's just called 11 with the subtitle, indispensable relationships you can't be without. So let's just have a look at that for a moment. The first indispensable relationship you can't be without is Nathan. So these are biblical characters that we're going to look at and what they represent. And we would love, as we unroll each of these indispensable relationships, if you are a Nathan or you have a Nathan, please write Nathan or the editor or whatever in the chat space. We'd love to have a response just even as we go along. But Nathan was the guy who came to King David. And he made sure that what David was saying and living and being was really his best and was really the truth. And so many of us need, this is an indispensable relationship. We need somebody who will come out and just be there to bring out the very best, that doesn't limit you, but that allows you to have the freedom of your best.
You know, when I write things, I hate it when Susie edits, but she is amazing. It always gets better. And I think that's where the Nathan character is. Yeah. You've got to have that person that'll be really honest into your life, that you will get better. So that's the first one. The Nathan, the editor, brings out your best.
So do any of you have a Nathan? Do you have a Nathan, or are you a Nathan for somebody? Just please write Nathan, and you can say I have it or I am one, however you want to write that out. Bodica says, because I'm such a strong personality, can you believe it? It's very hard for me to find a Nathan. Maybe you are a Nathan. And then Direne said, wow, I love these 11 indispensable relationships and the Bible characters. Yeah, just hold on to your seat, Direne. More goodness coming out.
So the next one is Jonathan. Remember Jonathan and David. Jonathan was a true friend. And this is an incredible story because Jonathan should have been the next king. And yet he realizes David is going to be the next king. And instead of coming over and trying to suppress that, he actually wanted to lift that up. It's an incredible thing. We need people in our life who will second themselves, that they will step aside to help us move to a better place. And I've had several Jonathans in my life, and I'm amazed to watch them sort of step aside to help move me to the place that I need to go to.
Yeah, another thing about Jonathan is your second self. You remember in the story of Jonathan and David, they knew each other so well, and Jonathan did step aside even though he was biologically to be the next king. He let David, the anointed one of God, be in that space. Yeah. So we need Nathans, we need Jonathans. And jump into the chat here. Direne says, I have a Nathan in my life. Awesome. And Israel says, Nathan, my mentor, is playing the role. Yeah.
Nice.
Many times when we give that permission, and depending on the personality of your mentor, it could definitely be that. But Jonathan is the journeyer, the one to go with you. Does anybody have a Jonathan, or are you a Jonathan for someone? We'd love to see that right there in the chat. The next indispensable relationship that you can't be without is Jethro. Now, this is the butt kicker. This is the one to get you on the right road to peace. No, Jethro is the father-in-law of Moses, right? So Moses, remember, was out in the wilderness, the burning bush. God called him, and then Moses went and did what he said, who am I? And God said, you are Moses, go for it. So then Moses is going along, and Moses had so many things that he was doing. And so Jethro was like, come on, Moses, you need to get organized, and you can let others do this or that or the other. And so he kind of helped Moses come into the right road, allowing him to use his own gifts and to do it in a peaceful way, that he is not killing himself, really.
And I think sometimes when we're put into roles of leadership, we think we have to do everything. And hopefully you will be blessed like we have, to have some people come over and going, you don't have to do that. You don't do it. for me, one of those people is my son, Joshua. Joshua will come along and go, don't get involved in that. That'll distract you. Stay here. You can have someone else do that. I need those people in my life.
So Dan is my Jethro. He's always kicking my butt into gear and helping me stop doing this or that, or doing this in a more strategic way to help me have peace. Thank you. He does that as well. So what about you? Do you have a Jethro? Are you a Jethro? Would love to see it right there in the chat. And meanwhile, I'm just looking here. Israel says, I am a Jonathan.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing. Thank you for that. And thank you for just speaking the truth about the reality of your life. So would love to know, Jethro, do you have one? Are you one? Go ahead and put that in the chat.
Some days I think you should leave your phone number, because those of us who need you will just call you.
That would be great.
The next one is a Timothy. Timothy is the protege. And who is it that you're bringing along with you? Who listens and learns? Who is the heir? Who are you passing things down with? In my life, I've been blessed to find some really quality people that we invest in, but we're also pouring things into. And they're never going to do what I do. They'll do their thing.
Yeah.
But hopefully I'm pouring into them. And I want to make sure I surround myself with Timothys.
Yeah. So for me personally, I'm in a season where I can find, I have a gift of seeing potential in people, and I love to pour into especially the next generation. And currently in my MTO camp group, we have a net, and I am a Timothy for 3 girls. One's living in Austria, one's living in Dubai.
You're not the Timothy for them. They're your Timothy.
They're my Timothy, sorry. One's living in Dubai and one's living in the UK. And I get, especially this week, to pour into these 3 young girls. But I also love to do it. And I think that's what we've been trying to do in the Duzie courses. That's what we've been trying to do in Duzie Live as well, is to just pour out into people who are soft like sponges, ready to learn and take on and expand into their fully alive being. I'm going to jump to the community for a moment. And Direne says, yes, I also have a Jonathan in my life, and I am a Jonathan to a friend's life too. My husband is my Jethro. Yeah, you know what that looks like. That's awesome. Direne says, I usually am a Timothy to the women in community and to my B group ladies. Awesome. Bodica says, I have definitely been a Timothy with you guys. Aw, virtual kiss to you, virtual hug.
So good. So
thank
good.
you.
And
thank
enjoy
you. Direne says, I am Duzie's Timothy. Thank you. Thank you for showing up. We love when you guys are here.
But we won't stop on number 4. Let's go to number 5.
Go on. Okay, so number 5 is Barnabas the encourager. So Barnabas was in the New Testament, and Barnabas was an encourager to Paul. He was the one who gave true support, words of encouragement, and he was just the one who comes alongside to help. I am blessed to have so many Barnabas encouragers. Dan's parents and my parents are always praying for us. They're always just asking how we are. I have one girl in particular that is a Timothy to me, and I am a mentor to her, but she is also a Barnabas. So every time we're together, she's asking, and how are you, Susie? And how are you feeling? And how are you taking it? And one of my love languages is words of affirmation anyway. So encouragement is my love language. So when people come around and encourage me, I am so blessed by that. And that particular type of relationship gives me so much support.
Yeah, for me, even on here right now, Matt, you often do this for me. You're an encourager. Or you write something we talk about, and you'll be the first one on going, wow, that was whatever. That's very encouraging. You give true support. So we definitely need that. And welcome, Dale from Flint.
Yeah, welcome in, Dale. We're talking about our tribe, blooming where we belong. We talked about our net, the nest, an eagle, and our tree where we belong. And now we're going through 11 indispensable relationships you can't live without. So just wondering if any of you want to just write right there in the chat about Barnabas and you. Matt says, thanks, Dan. It's true for me too, Matt. Thank you.
Now, as you notice, a lot of these names are males, but the characteristics are definitely female as well.
Sure. And Irene says, I am a Barnabas to my missionary friend who's working in a nonprofit organization.
So good.
Yeah, so valuable to have that kind of relationship in your life.
And then there is Peter and Paul. It's like a singing group, Peter, Paul, and Mary. But anyway.
I don't see Mary there.
Peter
There's the woman,
Paul, there
right?
it is, Peter, Paul, and Mary. Peter and Paul in the Bible, they were the wise people. They were the writers. They would visit you. They were apostles. They would come over, but yet they didn't own anything. They weren't like the official leader of too much. They literally had the power in the wisdom. And I think we need those kind of people more and more. I really believe, especially if you were in those younger years, the 20s, early 30s, and you are moving out in your faith, you don't need someone to control you. You don't need someone that says, stop all that, that's wrong. You need someone just over you that gives just a little bit of drops of wisdom.
Yeah.
That you can pick and choose as you move forward to navigate the path that they walked before you.
Yeah. So Peter, Paul, this is really great. We're starting this online. We're starting all these different business things that we have to figure out. And we have a number of Peter Pauls in our life that we can just really reach out to and say, hey, what do I need to do? What do I need to think about? And they really help us navigate and keep in line with what needs to happen.
And some of that was very intentional. When we were getting ready to launch Fully Live Revolution, to go online, businesses, we went and we said, now, who do we know who's done something like this? And we just sort of grabbed a hold of them, because most of the time, a wise person doesn't jump into your life. You have to go and sort of pull them towards you.
Yeah, in another way, we think that a wise person has to be somebody who is older. And more often, especially in past seasons of life, it was very much like that. But currently for the Fully Alive Revolution, we have a group of 20-year-olds that we call tribal leaders. And they are reverse mentoring us. So they are the Peter, Paul, wise people to us that help us navigate their world, so that as we roll out the Fully Alive Revolution, we are grateful for our tribal leaders who are really in a very wise, delicate, honest, authentic way, helping us navigate where we're going.
And I love the fact that sometimes when we come up with this incredible idea that's going to bomb, they go, yeah, but have you also thought about, and it's just so wise. And afterwards we go, oh, wow, that just probably saved us a year of work.
Yeah, it's definitely navigating the path. So Matt says here in the chat, I can totally relate to you, Suze. Words of affirmation are powerful to me. So I think I'll try to give that out. I tried to give that out generously, and you do. Thank you for that, Matt. You get an applause. That's like a clap of appreciation right there, of affirmation. And Bodica says, I'm not sure if I have had a consistent Jonathan. Being an MK is not always easy to find someone that gets you. True. I've had true friends, but usually just for a short season. Yeah. And especially when you move about, it makes that very difficult. We're in that season as well.
I always wonder, in Jonathan and David's life, if Jonathan would not have been killed in the war, what kind of friend would he have been as David did become king? You know, because it seems like a very short time that Jonathan and David were such good friends. What does it mean to have a friend like that for a long period of time? It's a good question.
Yeah, so Direne says, my B group leader, I'm assuming that's your small group, pastor is my Peter Paul.
Good.
That's awesome. Matt says, Dan, the thing is, you have all these amazing ideas and draw things together in such cool ways. True. It always blows my mind. Me too. And Suze, you're so warm and welcoming and naturally draw out positive words and feelings. So it's easy to encourage you guys.
Thank you, Barnabas.
There
Thank
he
you.
is.
Thank
He's
you, Barnabas.
Barnabasing right now. Matt,
Thank you.
standing ovation. We are standing and you got the ovation right now. Thank you. That's so kind of you. So let's go on to the next of the 11.
Oh.
We've got our Nathan, Jonathan, Jethro, Timothy, Barnabas, Peter, Paul, and now here's a woman in the list.
Right.
Yep. So Deborah is,
or if you're in Germany, it's Deborah.
Deborah, sure. She's the back coverer. She keeps you from stabs in the back. Now, she was Moses, right? Is it a part of the Moses story? I'm trying to remember. I had it in my
afterwards.
head.
It was when she was
one of the judges, right?
And she had given them over to another guy to lead in the battle, and he was afraid, and so he took it and took the credit.
Oh, and she was covering you. So this is a person, this is Deborah, however we want to say it. Okay, she was a judge. Thank you, Matt. Who keeps you from stabs in the back. I love the story about people in battle, you know, like the armor. We talk about the armor of God from Ephesians chapter 6. Everything, if you notice about that whole armor, is in the front of us. You know, we've got the helmet and the belt and the breastplate and the feet and the sword and the shield. It's all out in front. And there's nothing for the back. Why? If you don't mind, just go back to back. Because they fought like this, back to back. So who had
It's a little hard to run that way, though.
I know it is hard, but you've got to be in battle purposefully and covering each other's back. And this Deborah is very much that person. I have had a number of people in our who were leaders over us, who were like a Deborah for us. There was a guy called Francois who was our leader in one season, and he really had our back. And when there was tough things going on out there in the ministry or decisions being made, he would call us and say, I've got your back. I really need you. I really want you to know that I have your back. And then there were other seasons, and it's sort of like that currently for us as well, that we don't have such a close relationship with people who are in leadership over us. We're more on our own to do this venture right now. And we don't have so many people who are covering our back. And Dan and I have realized that recently, and we have tried to be purposeful to cover each other's back. So sometimes when you notice, like, this is an important relationship that I need, but I don't have, well, what can I do? And how can I cover that?
Interesting. We just had a very good friend of ours, Peter Maiden, pass away. And for years, Peter would actually tell us, I've got your back. Mm-hmm. That meant so much to us to know he had our back. And so you need to have those kind of people in your life. When you don't, you feel people are shooting at you.
Okay, so put it in the chat if you've got one of these.
The next one is Zacchaeus. Now, why would Zacchaeus be here? Because he's the reject. He's the little guy. He's the tax collector. He's the one that everyone overlooks. This relationship normally is not comfortable or cozy or tidy, but it's necessary. You need to have those people in your life that other people have rejected, because it keeps you so human. It keeps you in that place of understanding other people's pain. People who maybe are lame, people who have an ongoing sickness, people who maybe don't speak right or have some kind of disability. Those people are necessary. Mm. Not that you're better than them at all, but I find when I'm close to people who have been rejected, or maybe they're misfits, it helps me to see humanity so much better. Mm-hmm. And so I would say this is a necessity. And I would say most of my life, I have had those people in my life. I love to have those people around because they show me things that status quo never shows me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, I'm jumping to the chat here. Bodica says, Matt, do you find it easy to receive compliments? I'm just wondering if it's a British thing. I find it hard to receive compliments. I just think people are being insincere or sarcastic. Good question. Matt says, good question. Direne says, wow, praying to discover who's Deborah in my life, but I believe there is and was. So she hasn't discovered that. Thank you for that honesty. Matt says, I think that I'm often quite self-depreciating when receiving compliments. Partly that is learned from my mom, but also I am conscious of becoming too proud. But when a friend gives a compliment, I do try to just take it at face value and say, thank you.
It's good.
You're welcome, Matt Taylor, when we give you compliments. Dale says, Abe Lincoln, our president here in the U.S., gave a general.
Not our recent president, it was a while ago.
He's the one with the big, tall black hat. He gave a general order that seemed crazy. In the letter, he told the general that if it works, no one will ever need to know it was my idea. But if it failed, you have proof it was my idea. That's a Deborah.
Wow, it's good.
Yes, great example.
Thanks for blame.
That. Darlene said, I just talked to one Zacchaeus in my life today. She is someone people would ignore. Yeah, beautiful.
Very important.
I really love how you guys are identifying these types of relationships.
Ooh.
The next one in our indispensable relationship you can't be without is Rhoda, the little one. So who's Rhoda? In the New Testament, in Acts, there was many of the disciples who were afraid and people were being persecuted. And she was the one who opened the door when Paul and Silas got out of prison and they were coming to the prayer meeting where everybody was fervently praying. And she opened the door.
Well, first she just saw him there.
She saw him, but she didn't open the door. And then finally, she was the one who came to the door. It is a child. It's someone with faith and innocence. And Jesus says that unless we become like a child, we cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. So we need someone who has very childlike faith, not necessarily immature, but has innocence and faith, and they really believe anything can happen. Or maybe they're just new to a situation. For example, when I was in high school, we had our small group Bible study that wasn't so small. It turned out to be about 50 people. And most of them had never been exposed to Jesus Church before. And they were Rhodas in my life. And honestly, they were the most instrumental in their questions to help me get into the Word of God, to spend time with God, to know Jesus so that I could unpack him to these Rhoda characters in my life. And I was just blessed to have so many of them that really strengthen and deepen my faith.
Yeah. Just a comment on Dale where you said we struggle with the difference between accompanying praise and pride. And I often see it this way. When someone expresses praise to you or they encourage you, there is something innately human about needing to express.
Yeah.
I see a lot of Christians especially going, oh, no, don't thank me. Oh, no. But what you actually do is you stop the process of them letting something flow out of them.
Yeah.
It isn't that we need to be prideful. And I find it very, I don't know. I think a lot of people that talk about pride, I'm not sure they know what they're talking about, because you can't be prideful for something you did not create. You did not create yourself. And if God's given you an ability, when you accept that, you give that back to God. It's like, thank you so much. I'm so glad I could encourage you. But that is to the glory of God. And so to me, there is this balance that it's even like some people say, oh, don't sing happy birthday. No.
Don't celebrate.
Well, the fact is, people need to express thanksgiving, celebration, gratitude. And for us to stop that, I think it's very damaging to the human soul. So we need to accept those things, and those things that we just need to pass to God, we just do that.
Yeah.
But you don't belittle other people in the process.
Okay, what about you? Do you have a Rhoda, a little one in your life? Boudica says, my godfather, my goddaughter, who is 4 or 5, I can't remember, and my cousin's daughter, who is 10, they are my Rhodas. They're both fierce little girls and remind me of me, but it's just amazing to see them in their relationships. Yeah, isn't it fun to have these people in our life?
You're still a fierce little girl.
Yeah, you are. That's true. That's true. Our next indispensable relationship we can't be without is a Lydia and a Lazarus.
Now, if you remember Lydia, she was one that had been healed by God. I think she was the one that dealt with merchant with purple. She had money. And then there was Lazarus, who was raised from the dead, but he also had money. These are the VIPs in your life. you need to have some people in your life that can help resource what you're doing. It may not be ministry, but it may be just
happy finances.
They're right, but they have the resources. They may have some keys to open up some relationships that people you need to meet. Or maybe you're trying to write a book and they have the resources to connect you to a publisher. But you need to have those people in your life that I would call them the gatekeepers. That a lot of times in life we find there's gates that are closed. You can't move forward, but someone's got the key. And I find I don't go looking for these people, but as I'm speaking, someone say, you know what? When I publish my book, and I could introduce you. Oh, that's a gatekeeper. And I think we need to have those people just help resource us into to answer the question, is all things possible? Well, I can't fly, but I can move through that gate.
Yeah. So who are you opening the doors for, and who is opening the doors of resource to you as well? So Bodega, I want to be a Lydia, but I never have enough brownies. Thank you. Yeah. So Megan, I can't remember when she started this, but she's done this for us. We love it. At our door, she messages us, check the door. And then we go check the door, and here's a box, and it's a box of brownies with purple wrappers on it. We put them in the fridge, and we try to disperse them out. And actually, they resourced our brownie energy, like the chocolate urge need. And so thank you, Megan.
I have one left, but I haven't told Susie where it's at.
I heard you say that. So Megan, thank you for just in such a fun way being a Lydia to us. We so love and appreciate that. Brownies are super yum. And the next indispensable relationship is not really a name of a person, but it's called Jerusalem. It's your home. I just got a Instagram feed today from one of the girls that we know, and she just got engaged. So Annika, congratulations. You just got engaged today. And she said, my home. So her fiance is her home. So people can be like our safe rest and shelter and place. It can be a place, a cozy nook in your home or your bedroom or whatever, but your home, somebody can also be your Jerusalem in that they are your home, that they really ground you and they make it very safe for you to live your life. But just by having them in your life, it makes a difference.
But I think also this is not necessarily a relationship with a person. This could be a relationship with a place. Like when we left the ship, when we left the ship, we felt very unrooted. I mean, it was like pulled up, the roots are bare. And when we came back into this space, our home, much more than ever before.
It was our home, and it was our home.
It just became a place that even during COVID, I didn't mind being home. It was just a place that I could find rest. And I think one of the relationships we need to have is not just with people. You can find people that are home, but you also have to find those places. When I lived in Poland, one of those places, it was a big Catholic cathedral, but there was hardly anybody in it. And I could just go and sit, and it was just peace in that place.
Rest,
so
peace.
Some of those different places fill that gap.
So Jerusalem, this was actually in Leonard Sweet's book. Jerusalem probably comes from Acts chapter 1, verse 8, where it says, go to Jerusalem, which is the place where you are, Judea, Samaria, and to the ends of the earth. So it's the place where you are. Megan says, but Jerusalem is disputed between religions. Thoughts on that?
Nope.
Not at the moment, I guess. So Direne says, together with you is my favorite Jerusalem to be. My homes for learning and encouragement. Wow, Direne, thank you for that. That's great. And Megan says, wherever you are is home. I feel like I can rest, be accepted, be myself, and have fun. And Cheryl says, this is so good as reminders of the people in our lives who fit into each of these categories. Such good reminders and putting into those spaces and importance in our lives. Yeah, isn't it? I love this. So when we were thinking about how we bloom in our belonging, we were trying to think of a tool that we could use to help us like gear what our relationships look like. And this was the best one.
And there's also a 12th, and it's not listed as the indispensable, but it really is. It's the Paraclete. It's the Holy Spirit, the one that comes alongside, the one who always is there to help. And just acknowledging there are times where in my life I've looked around and I haven't seen a Nathan or a Jonathan or a Jethro or a Timothy or a Barnabas or a Paul or Peter or Deborah or Zacchaeus or Rhoda or Lydia or Lazarus or my Jerusalem. But God and his voice, the Spirit of Jesus was there. And so I think that is not something that we need to overlook.
Yeah.
But like
it's a plus. It's in addition to all of these.
But like Adam in the beginning, he walked with God, and yet he needed people. And sometimes people get that mentality that all I need is God. Well, no, as a human, you need other people. And here are 11 really good places to start.
Okay, so I'm just gonna share that picture right there that you're seeing, that final picture there. If you're interested in that, it's a file that you can download for those who are here with us live, and also for those who are on the replay. It will not be possible for those who are watching here by YouTube. But yeah, so 11 indispensable relationships. Just wondering if anybody has a Jerusalem or a Paraclete. Dale says, I'm glad you said that. I was going to ask about a place of peace, the Jerusalem. Mm-hmm. And Irene says, oh no, sometimes I'm the junior Holy Spirit. You have to speak into people's lives. And Matt says, Jerusalem, called also Salem, Ariel, Jebus, the city of God, the holy city, by the modern Arabs, El Quds. I don't know how to say that. Meaning the holy, once the city of Judah, from 2 Chronicles 25:28. Thanks, Matt. The name is in the original in the dual form and means possession of peace, or foundation of peace. I did not know that, but that is awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, Matt. And then Bodica says, can I just say, Dan Potter, I love it when you tell us that you have sometimes not had these people, because it's a reminder that you guys, as inspiring and encouraging as you are, have also been through hard times and missing the people. Yeah, and currently, when we were just going through this list, there are a number of ones that I, in particular, am missing. And I'm praying for those, and this is a good reminder for me. Dale says, all places have that potential for disputes within a place and a time.
So it's time for the poll.
Okay, so here is the poll, and it is, which indispensable relationship would help you the most right now? So we have the list of all of them except for the Paraclete, but which one would you say would help you the most right now? This is a really big poll.
This is one that you would say is maybe just missing. And it maybe wasn't needed in the last phase of your life, but if you have transitioned into this new time, you're thinking, wow, maybe I need Jethro, or maybe I need the Rhoda. So take a moment and really think about that. I'd love to see that.
And it might not be that you don't have it and you need it. It might be that you also have it and you really need it right now. Yeah. Which one would you say?
Well, I was looking through that, and I would say probably right now where I am in my life, I would say the Deborah. I feel that, OM is a great place for us to be, but I don't see that they have our back. I'm not sure who has our back. And so that's one that, it's easy to move forward when you know someone's got you. Mm-hmm. And I think in the pioneer phase, where we've spent most of our life in the pioneer phase, a lot of people just don't get you. They don't understand where you're going. So I would say right now, as we get ready to launch the Fully Live Revolution, it's a Deborah.
Yeah.
Deborah.
And I think for me, the two that I need right now is the Jonathan, the true friend, and the Peter Paul, the wise person. I think those are the ones that I feel I have a bit of them. I need to really grow the Jonathan side of it, but really the wise people are so valuable.
So what do we have over in the poll?
I'm just looking at the poll right now, and I have to scroll through because it's so long. Thank you for taking this. It's anonymous, so we can't see who said what. But 40% right now says they need Jethro, the butt kicker.
That's
and then the next one, tied for 20%. Oh, it just changed. 50% says Jethro. And then
may your Jethro have soft shoes.
Yeah. And then the next highest score is 16%, Rhoda, the little one. And tied for 16% is Barnabas the encourager and Timothy the protege. Let me see. I'm just scrolling to see. But those are the main ones right now. So we got the Jethro as 50% at the moment. I'm just going to write this down.
Yep.
Jethro is 50%. And then tied at 16 is Timothy, Barnabas, and Rhoda.
And let me just give a little wisdom about the Jethro. It's better for you to find them than for them to find you.
For them to find you.
Yeah, it's always better to go find your Jethros than for them to find you. Because sometimes when they find you, it's a little shocking. So when you know you need it, go find them.
Yeah. That's great. Okay. We're jumping to the chat here as we're sort of winding down our time. We were just coming on 1 hour. Thank you so much. All places. Let's see. Jethro, Peter, Paul, I can't describe. Boudica says, absolutely, Dan. I pray hard that you'll find your Deborah. I wish we could surround you with 10,000 Deborahs. Yes. Matt says, last week on my break, my brother and I went a couple of days to an amazing place. It's always felt like home for me. It's an amazing estate called Ashburnham Place near Hastings.
Nice.
Sounds like that might be a Jerusalem for you. My pointy-toed Jethro would be painful. True, Matt. And Boudica says, I think we must also remember that those relationships need interaction from us as well. We can't just sit there and expect it to happen. That's right. Direne said, I've just read your article a few minutes before the webinar, Matt. We'll finish reading it. I'm halfway. So good. Have tried no phone for 3 days. Wow, cool. That might be Matt's, but that also might be David, his brother, who's writing the website. I don't know. Maybe you wrote it too, Matt. And Boudica said, I've also been to Ashburnham Place once. It was great.
I've never been there.
Okay.
But I wish I was.
So Deborah and Jethro are often 2 in 1.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. That's true. Very true. We're wondering, just as we're wrapping up,
because when someone's standing behind you, it's easy to give a little kick.
I just wonder, while we're kind of winding up our time, we love to have takeaways. So takeaway. What is your takeaway? We would love to know what your takeaway is. So just write something that you have learned, been reminded of, something you don't want to forget as a result of being together with us here on Duzie Live today. Try Bloom Where You Belong.
So we'll have another one of these at 2 o'clock our time, but actually we're in European time, so it's going to be
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. If you're in Europe or if you're in the UK, I think it's 9 o'clock, whatever. We'll be back. And between now and then, we have several
MTO
events going on today. It's a busy day, but an amazing day. We had a great morning. This is why it's a little confusing. We're like, now wait, who is Jethro again? And who is Deborah again? Because we're all over Joshua and Moses and the day was about
Joshua and
Rahab
and the spies.
And so
we have a lot of characters we're spinning in our head.
And then in 15 minutes, I'm also teaching magic. So it's going to have to be a quick switch. But thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, so we'd love to have your takeaway. Continue to write your takeaway. Matt says, to be honest, I hoped to do it last week on break, but I forgot. So now just trying to find the right time. Okay. Darlene says, thanks, Matt. Thanks so much, Susie and Pastor Dan. Blessing to you all. And Cheryl's takeaway, the good reminder that we need them all.
Yep.
And just a reminder, it is there as a downloadable file if you want to download it, or you can just screenshot what you're seeing right there if you have that capacity to do it as well. Direne says this session's so enriching, so great reminder. Matt says, my takeaway. I'll take away a box of brownies from Bodica. Oh, so she's your Deborah now. That's awesome. Well, you're a blessed man if you get to have brownies from her. That's awesome.
Thank you so much for joining us. We'll keep reading these as we go. Keep us in your prayer because we're working this week on MTO. And then as soon as MTO is done, we go into the full engaged launch of the Fully Alive Revolution. If you want to be a part of it, please make sure, if you haven't already, to send us a note saying, I want to be a part of it. We're starting to fill up. We're moving towards a cutoff of 40 people that will go through the first launch in September at some point. So if you haven't, let us know that you want to be involved in that. Please send us an email.
And more detailed information to come soon in the next coming weeks.
After MTO.
That's right. Megan says, takeaway, that you need indispensable relationships in your life. Yes, they don't just come to you. Sometimes you have to go and find them, and you also need to interact with them, trust and share with them. That's right. It's a two-way thing. Direne says, thanks so much for the PDF file. Downloaded it already. Thank you. Matt says, it's such a cool model to think about these different relationships, people to have in life. I can definitely see where I've had lots of these, but also where I'm missing a couple.
It's good.
I want to point you to way down in the corner. You might see a yield symbol, this yellow diamond shape or square on its side. And this is a very important symbol for us personally. So we feel like we are at the merge where the established generation and the emerging generation comes together. And we are trying to pour into the emerging generation, but also the established generation, and also bring them together. And in this list of these 11 indispensable relationships, there is a lot of the coming together of these two different types of people, young and old and experienced and inexperienced. And some people just have the gifts that they can bring to a relationship. So when you see that symbol down the bottom, remember that the merging of people together is so vital and creates part of this list of indispensable relationships. And there's quite possibly more than these 11, 12 that could be added to the list. If you can think of any, we'd love to hear about them. And we would love to add that to our list as well.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We are glad you're here. Next week, we're going to go into the area of impact. How do you have impact in your little world, in your little bigger world, or in the big world? Impact is an incredible area to look at. We're looking at that next week.
Yeah, so your life is a remarkable story, an adventure that only you can create.
We exist to motivate and equip you to live fully alive.
Today in this Duzie Live, we've been talking about your tribe to bloom where you belong. We talked about the net, and we talked about these 11 plus 1 indispensable relationships. And we've got so much amazing feedback and interaction and conversation with you who joined live. Thank you for joining us live. For those who have joined us by replay or are seeing us here on YouTube, we so love and appreciate you.
We hope this will help you to love yourself, your world, and your God. My name's Dan.
And my name is Susie, and together we're a Duzie.
Live fully
and love fully.
See
Have
you
a
next
great
week.
day. Bye.
Bye.